Hello everyone, my name is Megan.
And I'm Christina.
And this is our TCC journey. Last time we jumped on, we were discussing our third cycle and the possibility of being pregnant.
Yes.
But unfortunately, we got our results back and we are not pregnant.
Yeah.
So we decided to take a different route. So about a week and a half ago, we had up our follow-up appointment for our beta test to see if her HCG levels were high enough.
Yes.
And unfortunately, it came back negative.
Which we knew.
Which we knew because that past Wednesday, that prior Wednesday, we took a pregnancy test. And it told us not pregnant. So we kind of knew that we weren't pregnant, but we still were kind of hopeful because she had not received her period yet. So we were kind of like, oh, maybe, we tested too early and, maybe the levels are too low for them to pick it up on a pregnancy test. Hopefully when we go in and we do the blood work, they'll see that her HCG levels were higher. But, unfortunately that Saturday, the doctor called us back and let us know that it wasn't.
Yep.
So, negative. This is our third negative. So it hit kind of hard, this one, because we kind of had some high expectations going into the cycle due to the fact that a lot of things that had transpired throughout the last 2 weeks were kind of giving us an indication that we might have been pregnant. So, when we found out we weren't, it was kind of like a disappointment.
It was.
But, like everything, we try not to take things personal. We pick ourselves up and dust ourselves off and move on. And we went into this journey knowing that it was going to be difficult. We were going to have some trials and tribulations, and that things weren't going to work out the way we wanted to work out, but it's still hurtful and it's still a thing, especially when you have high hopes and you're like, yeah, it's going to work, and it didn't work. We're here now. So yeah, and
we didn't ever think that it would take us this long.
No, I don't think we went into this thinking that at all. So yeah, that's one of the things. Like, I've expressed to her, and we have had this conversation numerous times, like, you don't go in like it's definitely gonna work, but you kind of go in with high expectations, and you go in thinking that, kind of cocky with it in a sense, like it's gonna work, whatever. It is what it is. For
sure, I thought I would have got it at least by the third try.
Yeah, especially with things that we have read online and articles, and it's so true. People say like you can't go for what you read, and you can't go for other people's journey, because once you do that, you kind of set yourself up for something that it can either be a good outcome or a negative outcome, but you set yourself up for something that you're not expecting. And I think that's ultimately what I have learned throughout this journey, is that don't go in with certain expectations, because you're not going to get that at all.
Yeah.
You might in certain things, but like for me personally, it has not been that way. So if I can give any piece of advice to anybody going through this journey, it's like, kind of go in and kind of take it as day by day. Don't go in there saying, oh, this is going to work. This is my donor. This is the doctor. This is the clinic. This is this. Because we changed our donor. We changed our doctor. We changed our process. So many things have changed since the beginning of our journey to now that it's like, wow. But I'm so thankful that I'm on this journey with her, and I'm so thankful that throughout this process we have learned a lot about each other, and learn a lot about what we want out of this whole process. And I think that's what ultimately is the best key that you can get from this. It's like making sure that you work together as a team, making sure you're on the same page, making sure you're making decisions that best fit your relationship.
So a few days before we actually went to get our blood work, we had a conversation about what our next steps were going to be. So it changed daily. The first time we talked about it, we said that we were going to jump right into IVF after our third cycle. Then the next day it was like, hey, let's try one more cycle, and if that one cycle doesn't work, then maybe we should turn to IVF. And then the day that we went to the clinic, because we had read online that cycle 4 to 6 you can get a positive. Was that
it's like
what it was?
They were saying that you have more of a higher success rate with cycles 4 to 6 online.
Yeah.
But we had
so we had thought, like, since you get a higher rate between cycles 4 to 6, let's just jump aboard and just do it. Let's just try all 6 cycles if we need it, and if it doesn't work, then we'll turn to IVF. But we also wanted to have a conversation with our doctor to figure out what his thoughts were. So he had said that anything after cycle 4 will decrease our chances.
Yeah, he said that basically after cycle 4, like after cycle 3, going to cycle 4, instead of the chances going higher, they actually go lower in percentages. So that was kind of a shocker for us, because when you go online and you do your research with IUI or IVF, IUI, you're being told different things. You're being told that the cycles increase as you do more procedures.
Yeah.
So when we read that, we were like, oh, and Christina was asking like all the questions she needed to ask.
Yeah, because I honestly, I didn't want to give up on my body. I know that I can't classify myself as infertile because obviously we don't have any sperm, so that's not the case. Our problem right now is that we don't have the sperm. So me just jumping into IVF, I was like, am I not giving myself the time to get pregnant? Like, I know my body can do this, but am I giving it enough time? Should I just outwait all 6 tries before we turn to IVF? So when we had that conversation with him and he told us that our percentages go down with each cycle, we kind of we didn't come to the agreement of doing IVF right there and then, but we started asking questions about IVF and, if we were to do IVF, which one is going to give me the best quality, not quantity. Yeah. Because we ultimately just want 2 children. So I don't want to go through this procedure to have 6, 7 eggs, and we know for sure we're not going to have 6, 7 children.
Or even more,
kids.
And I think that's ultimately why we also picked the clinic that we picked, because prior to this, we were at another clinic, and I know you probably heard about that in other videos. And we decided to make the switch because we just felt like we weren't getting the proper treatment there. But looking into this clinic, we looked at different things, like the doctors, what they specialize in, what type of different programs they offer, what type of cycles they offer. And although we didn't go heavily into it, we knew that they had different unconventional ways of doing IVF.
Yeah. We decided to have the conversation with him to discuss the different IVF protocols.
And what he suggested, did he suggest that we continue doing IUI, or do we jump into IVF because we're not your conventional couple?
Yeah, at first he had told us that he's okay with whatever we decide because we're not his average couple. He will be completely okay with proceeding with an IUI as long as we don't exceed 6 IUIs. But he was like, if you have the insurance, you might as well just do the IVF. There's a 70% chance?
For their clinic, they have a 70% success rate.
And
just with your factors too. He's like, you're young, you're healthy. Right now we don't know any type of infertility issues that you may have. As of right now, you're a great candidate. You have good reserves.
Yeah.
Everything looks good on paper. You fit the criteria that we would need to do IVF. And before we even started this journey, and before we even thought about going and doing these things, we sat back and we're like, okay, we know we need the insurance. We know we need certain things. And Christina took the initiative to, enhance her insurance and make sure that she has the best insurance possible to support us in this journey.
Yeah.
And I think that also what made us change our mind and say, okay, well, we are paying for insurance. We are taking a hit with that.
Yeah.
And they do offer these things. Why don't we look at our options? Because we have tried 3 IUIs and it was unsuccessful. Why don't we try IVF? And it's not saying that IVF is going to be successful, because you can have a failed IVF cycle.
You can.
We're not saying that.
I can go through the whole IVF procedure and not get any child.
Not get any.
Have to go through it all over again. It's not a guarantee, but it's a higher percentage than
what we're dealing with now. And I also told her, I use this analogy, it's like baseball. You got 3 strikes and you're out. We tried IUI 3 times and it struck out. So now you try a different one. You put in a different batter and you try to see if maybe you can get a home run with that one.
Yeah.
You know, I know it's funny analogy, but that's how I look at it.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, it's funny because when we left that clinic and we went home, we were like, oh, we'll just do one more cycle. Let's just do one more cycle.
No, in the office.
Yeah, we told doctor as well.
In the office, we had told him, we was like, you know, well, I actually told him. But I told him that we're going to do one more cycle of IUI, and if that one cycle of IUI doesn't work, we're going to turn to IVF. And then when we left the clinic, that's when we had the conversation in the car. As soon as we got in that car.
It's the ride home.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got into the car, and I was like, she's like, oh, so are you okay with that? I told him. And I'm like, honestly, I'm gonna go with what you want to do, babe, and I'm gonna support you. But I honestly think maybe we should just do IVF because